Boomer, are you okay? Are you alive?
How we make everything good shit? One by one, we're taking the things you know and love. Medicare, TAFE, the ABC, ARC, the National Archives, public schools, handshakes, desks, and turning them into conduits for our shit fuckery. That's because we make everything good shit. In today's episode of Make Everything Good Shit, we look at the CSIRO, your trusted science agency, which has earned a reputation for great inventions, Wi-Fi, space stuff, aeroguy. Unlike gas companies, which have earned a reputation for poisoning aquifers, ripping you off with high bills, paying no fucking tax. So we thought, hey, what if we could let those gas companies use the CSIRO brand to regain your trust and keep making the chin-chin? Introducing Gisera. Gisera is an alliance between your beloved CSIRO and the 5 biggest companies in Australia's fracking industry. It's a great setup. They provide the money and the CSIRO provides the logo. Those gas companies are very modest, so whenever Gisera publishes its research, they give CSIRO all the credit. No need to mention it. Of course, CSIRO scientists care deeply about their integrity. But don't worry, Gisera fixed that problem by putting gas executives on all the committees that oversee its research. And just to be sure, we also cut hundreds of CSIRO climate scientist jobs and made the rest fear for their jobs if they speak out. We make everything good shit. Gisera has made some terrific findings, like that time they said this river being on fire is totes normal and has nothing to do with the thousands of fracking wells all around it. Turns out it does. Or that that time Jazeera found our fracking emits less than the US. Sure, gas companies told it which wells to study, and sure, it only measured the well pads, ignoring all the other infrastructure and pipelines. But let's not get caught up in the details. And of course, that time Jazeera discovered fracking is safe for the environment by testing 6 out of Queensland's 19,000 gas wells. Sure, those 6 wells were chosen by Origin, who was so thoughtful they even paid for the tests, but that was good enough for us. So now we can tell you the CSIRO says fracking is safe for the environment. And that's how we've been letting your trusted science agency be infiltrated and hollowed out by these earth-fucking tumours. But don't worry, you still have your trusted Bureau of Meteorology. Hello, I'm from The Bomb, and today's forecast is brought to you by our sponsors, who gave us millions to not mention climate change. We make everything good shit. In New South Wales, expect Santos to fuck the beautiful Pilliga Forest, with a high chance it'll also take a shit on surrounding farmlands unless you lock the gate. All approved as safe thanks to research by Jazeera. Moving to the NT, watch out for this new piece of shit on the block run by Liberal Party donors, which is ready to frack the outback now that the moratorium has been lifted, thanks to research by Jazeera. Speaking of moratoriums, Victoria's just lifted theirs, so watch out for gas companies lining up to drill the Great Ocean Road, unless you tell them to fuck off, which is how you saved Crib Point from AGL. You know, the wankers who'll sue you if you use their logo to expose how they're Australia's biggest climate polluter. And in WA, if allowed to proceed, this flaming shit comet will wipe out not just our climate targets, but also the Murujuga Rock Art, home to the oldest known depiction of the human face. How appropriate. We'd like to warn you that all this will lead to more extreme weather events, droughts, floods, and hotter, more frequent bushfires. But the very same guy who founded Jazeera and turned your CSIRO into a cheer squad for gas companies is now our boss, and he loves to remove all mention of climate from our public statements. Please send help. Back over to you at Bullshit HQ. Thank you, Bomb. What's that? How can we let your most trusted and beloved agencies be infiltrated and corrupted by these soulless fucking parasites? Oh, sweetie, that's what happens when your government's been captured by the fossil fuel industry. Join us next week for another episode of Make Everything Good Shit, as we take a look at universities, the NDIS, and your life in general. Authorised by the Department for the Gas-Led Shit Fuckery.
Okay.
Right. So we got an ad. We found an ad on the TV. We can work the radio at the same time. I don't know how that happens, but the TV and the radio work together. So at least we've got some power here.
It looks like
that's
we
a bit-
might
anyway,
be
so-
live, but I'm not quite sure.
But how would anyone know? No, that's all right. We can fuck around and do shit. So we can basically just sit here and make fun of the world, because I don't think any of them know we're around. So this is cool. So what is this place? We've got some lights. We've got a bit of a television. I remember them, but
I don't know.
wow.
This looks so sick. So this looks like a 60s sci-fi thing. So super modern and super high tech.
Yeah, I mean, that's the latest in televisions. That's exactly like the one I've got at home, in fact, which I only got out of the box last year. So this is good. What else is happening? Hey, that ad I just saw, you know that stuff they say called Aerogard? That's like an insect repellent. And I've seen flies grovel in some pretty fucking disgusting substances, and yet that Aerogard shit, they won't touch it, and we spray it all over ourselves. Humans are so clever. And flamey creeks. Do you reckon we can find a flamey creek around here? This is kind of, I don't know, it's like I've had a head injury. I've got memory loss, but not dope induced. It's weird.
Well,
Did we save the...
crash landing does that to you.
So, all right. Now, okay, so you got the message to International Rescue. Then what did he say?
They didn't come. He said something like some bullshit like, "You're in my house. I don't care. Please send me food and water. I'm dying." And then
this is going to be bullshit.
Yeah, it's not like we have a giant rocket in our basement.
Well, yeah. And I mean, what's this International Rescue like begging for food? In the old days, I remember you just ring them up and they'd say, "Yeah, we'll come and get you." They didn't even need to know where you were. They seemed to know. So I don't know. I reckon we're being scammed. I don't reckon that's John from Thunderbird 5.
No, exactly. That's. But
I tell you what,
I see a live chat going on, Boomer. I think we might be live.
Yeah. No, I hope not, because that would be Microraptor, and I've got, oh my God, we had best never invite Microraptor to this island. It scares me with each sentence I read. Oh, you're missing the legs. Yes. Well, unfortunately, they're a little bit unshaven this week.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
The thing is, we don't know where we are, so we can't invite Microraptor, because then we have to give directions to where we are, and we don't know where we are.
Correct. Okay. But those who would be more on the ball would notice that there are portraits up, and how could we have possibly put portraits up if we've only just crash landed here? But of course, you'd have to be pretty clever and on the ball to notice something like that. So hopefully no one will pick up on it. Okay, so, well, while we're here, we might as well just pass some time. What can we do to pass the time?
I don't know. We could maybe. I got an idea. Yeah, we could maybe talk about some news articles that I found.
Was it a train wreck? Did I just see a train wreck in the background there or not? I wasn't sure. Sorry, I'm looking all around the place.
That's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, right, yes. Train wrecks flashing through it, all sorts.
This was on the news just when I was trying to set things up here. Oh.
That was on the news, right? Okay.
This.
If only I had a gun.
It's a bit hard to read. It's a bit hard to read on this one, but I can accommodate for that. Give me something to work with here. There we go. So there was a gun manufacturer who thought it was like a swell idea to sell a gun that looks like a Lego toy.
Okay. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. And you might be surprised about this, because I was too, but apparently the Lego company in Denmark wasn't too thrilled about this. They weren't exactly cheering this on. Which again, it's kind of surprising, because you would expect them to be condoning this. You would expect them to see this and be like, yes, this is something we like as the Lego company in Denmark. But apparently they didn't. Weird, huh?
If anything, I suppose when you do Lego, your first thing's got to be safe for the kiddies. You could probably stick a bit of rubber padding on it too, so there's no sharp edges. I don't really see the problem. I don't know what. I mean, look, it's frantic. You're wandering around, you're cleaning up the toys, and you throw the Lego in with the rest of it, the kids' toys. So I mean, that's a good handy place to hide a gun. A burglar would never find it, would they?
No, and here's the thing. If you might wonder, like, is this legal? And the answer is yes, because even though it's not allowed to make a toy that looks like a real gun, there apparently isn't really a law against making a real gun that looks like a toy.
Is that in America or elsewhere?
In America.
Sounds like an alien America thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to have to break character for a second. Hey, Tony, I love your T-Rex joke, but what gives you the impression I might need more sick jokes? I thought if anything, you'd know I have got plenty of those in stock. But welcome. I'll put that one in the kit for sure. Thanks, mate. Some people just don't know how huge my repertoire really is. Anyway, yeah, sorry. So back onto the Lego gun. So these things get marketed. That's got up and been made. They've actually made this gun. So
Yes.
at all the stages of manufacturing, someone didn't go, but wait, is the little kid's maybe a little bit dangerous when he takes it? It's all fun till someone loses an eye. Or what do they put? Warning,
Oh.
don't look in this end, on the end of the barrel or something.
Oh, now I have to break character as well because Michael Raptor. What makes you think that I don't do that already?
We've been through this before, Michael Raptor, yes.
Sometimes when I accidentally, like when I'm driving to the city and I accidentally hit someone, and I might talk a little bit funny and say sorry instead of just sorry. And people get less angry. I've noticed.
Ah, okay. The looks that come with a mobility scooter. Hey, Facty, how are you, man? Okay. Oh God, I was so deviated off script here. Where were we? Irrigarden, Flamey Creeks. So this is not our last transmission as we originally thought. We can do other future transmissions from
Yes.
this wonderful island paradise. Okay,
Yes.
well,
It's almost like this
Our,
island was built to already accommodate for transmissions like this. It's kind of weird.
yeah, it's all this funny radio stuff when you turn it on, it all arcs up like a Frankensteinian thing. I did look on and notice before there was an ad on Facebook and someone's done a slight typo and it's got air fryer, doesn't work, and it's a clothes dryer. And I thought, if they're using the clothes dryer as an air fryer, imagine that you open the door up, throw in your pasty, turn it on, there's a pile of peas and potatoes and crap and pastry everywhere. And this air fryer doesn't seem to work. On the opposite side, it might be a good way to sell your air fryer. I don't know, but it was free nonetheless. It doesn't work, so you got to love some people, don't you? Okay, speaking of pasties and air fryers, what are we doing about food on the island?
I don't know. We did just crash on a couple of people. I mean, pre-cooked meat.
A couple of them got cooked, yeah. I thought you were going to refer to the fridge full of food over there, but that's okay. We can get past that. Okay, so some of
I wouldn't
some of the people. That's good.
I wouldn't mind some fried Jeff.
Okay, well, that sort of runs consistently with our plan for Jeff. We don't have the moral dilemma now, do we?
No.
Of altering the timeline. It's been done by the looks of it. Okay. All right. So we've done our Lego gun, which I've got to say still is a pretty thing. Imagine robbing a bank with it. The bank tellers keep laughing at you. Get a real gun. It is a real gun. No, it's not. Get out of here.
Oh, you could.
That's not a gun.
You could also make it a stick, right? You go bank, you become a bank robber, and you have instead of a clown mask, you have a Lego man mask, and you buy one of those shirts that kind of looks like a Lego man, like a Lego man suit, and you just rob your bank with your Lego gun, and then the FBI will call you the Lego man.
Yeah. Or in a sense, you do it with the red striped shirt and you've got your little mask on. The bank teller would say, he looked like Where's Waldo? To which the cops would say, oh my God, do you know how hard he is to find? It'd be on them too hard to find and they'd never find him. So that's why bank robbers wear striped shirts, because of the Where's Waldo connection.
Well, and there you go. His getaway driver was reported to be a woman in a big trench coat and a big hat.
Where are you going? I've got no idea. Who's the big trench woman?
Yes, he was. Where in the world is what is her name? Carmen?
I don't know. I'm lost. Who? What? Where? God, we've fallen off whatever script we had.
Apparently, there was some TV. So Carmen Santiago, I think. Like it was some woman that was also like always escaping her assailants by just mysteriously disappearing, allegedly. see sometimes pictures
Okay.
next to Waldo to sort of like, oh no, Anyway,
You see, although I know what Where's Waldo is, I've never actually done one of the puzzles. They're out of my pay grade, if you understand my intellectual pay grade, I suppose is what they all say. But I think they're just being polite because I don't want to say I'm stupid. Right. Okay. I think the jig's up, Arda, when your Clone Wars injury's been exposed by someone in the chat. So there goes your.
I knew
pension.
this I knew this would happen one day. Yeah. So I prepared a speech sort of. I did this years ago, mind you, and I just want to apologize to everyone who I've hurt with my lie. Yes, I got injured in the Clone Wars. I was fighting for the bad guys, and I was trying to hide it by saying that I had an illness, and I'm sorry. I know it's wrong. I know that I deserve to be in jail for being a war criminal. But I hope you guys can forgive me, like you forgive George Bush.
Look,
for being a war criminal.
I'm gonna go.
And yeah.
Look, I reckon. Okay, this is good. This is a cleansing moment. Yes, okay, you are responsible for the death of over 1 million people in the Clone Wars, but you were only the cook in the kitchen. I mean, that's not really murder. That's only death by misadventure. I reckon you'll get off with, I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
one could argue poisoning, but it was an honest mistake.
So you say. Well, that's a good story. We'll stick to that. Well, we did digress nicely there.
It's a common mistake to confuse the table salt for the rat poison, right?
Well, that's part of the urban mythery that makes us look like dickheads, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, urban myths. That's a thing,
well,
right?
Okay, well, the first thing is now that we've found the bodies outside, we don't have to eat each other, which was going to be tricky because one of us was going to have to eat the other and have dinner alone. So that's probably worked out as a bit of a bonus, not having to eat each other. That's probably the only bonus I can think of that. The other is everything. It was all really a good idea. So, okay, I'm running on 2 sheets of a script.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, well, I'm feeling a bit threatened, and I want to call the police, but I'm not sure if I should because my phone is almost empty, and there isn't a way to charge it here in this giant mansion. So maybe you have a solution for me? How are you for me? To fix
don't you dial a number and it charges up your phone for you? Is that right? That's fun.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yes, a guy. It was a person in a pub, so it must be true. 2 things: if you get a story from a bloke in a pub or off the internet, it must be true, and I think it's one of those. Yeah. Okay.
So are you saying that if I call the emergency number on my BlackBerry, it charges my phone?
Yes, it does. Or does it? I don't know. That's the myth. So I don't quite remember the whole background to it because I've obviously destroyed those brain cells. Thousands of dollars of bourbon it took to do. So
me too,
what was it and where did it emerge from?
Me too, but I might have a video here that might go into this.
All right. Well, just before you do, I've got to keep this in timing. Microraptor just referenced how things do get confusing on the Death Star. Yeah, and you mentioned that Order 66 is actually right next to Order 65, which is a naan bread, a Makani chicken, and I think it was a server pompadons. That's Order 65. So you push the wrong button, and suddenly all the Jedi are dead. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. Sorry, I just had to run that in.
Not to be confused with Order 69, huh?
It's been so long I wouldn't fucking remember. But anyway, I don't know. This is leaving a foul taste in my mouth there. So,
hello, fellow paranormal enthusiasts. And this odd little urban legend mostly took place in the United Kingdom regarding BlackBerry phones. Around the early 2010s, there became a myth that if you dial 999 999, which is the United Kingdom's emergency number, just like
Oh, I
911
thought it
in the
was
United
German
States.
for no, no, no.
It would recharge
yeah.
your phone. Because with Blackberries, once you get to a certain battery point, it shuts certain features down, and people really wanted to charge their phones. This is totally false. And people started calling the emergency number 999 and backing up their entire
Yes,
emergency
they were.
services system. And backing up the emergency services system can be a real problem, a very big problem as well, for real emergencies. And it could cost you jail time, and your service for your cell phone could be shut off because a misuse of the emergency services number 999. Many naive people
What's
fell
this?
for
No,
this
no, no.
myth, prank, urban legend, whatever you want to call it, but it is not true. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not like and share the video? It'd be much appreciated. Why not follow me on Twitter, VidMe, YouTube, and Daily.
So yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't.
Well, you want to know a more
it was a little
yeah, a
bit
more
of
recent
a.
one on
Go ahead.
a more recent one on this was what people would do. Someone had a fuzzy message which would ring and say, "Hello, hello, can you hear me?" And you'd answer, "Yes." "I can't quite hear you. Can you hear me?" "Yes." You say it again." "Yes." It was a pre-recorded message. What happened was it had just recorded your voice saying yes 3 times, hoping to hack through the voice recognition system, which they got up and running here in Australia for the tax office, but they seem to have thrown in the bin because of this exact scam. So it was set up and they didn't think about it with how clever and how simple it is. But yeah, so that's another little phone scam that was worked on. So sorry, dude, I jumped on you there. What was your call?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny what people believe, and I looked into it a little bit more about the phone charging thing, and it was apparently in like the in the more early stages of mobile phones, and people just didn't really understand the radio signal coming from the tower. They kind of believe like, well, maybe that it would be possible to that like the emergency services sort of sends an extra signal that sort of activated the battery of activated the battery in your phone or something like that. They kind of believed that was possible, like expensive but possible. Like, yeah, they're doing it because, you know, if you call them, they don't want you to suddenly drop out. So they arrange for a way to sort of circumvent that your phone signal doesn't suddenly drop out while you call. and you know, if you think about it, like right now, we've been using phones for so long that we are much more familiar with it. But in the early days of mobile phones, it was a thing to have a mobile phone, you know.
Well, taking it one step before the mobile, we used to, when you rang, right, the electricity company, Energex, they used to say, "Don't forget to not be on the telephone during a thunderstorm because, you know, if the lightning hits the pole, you could get electrocuted." Now, barring the really old phones, which had cabling that was heavy enough voltage of a 747, there's no way that you're going to get electrocuted off your phone. Yet Energex themselves would say, "Don't be on the phone during a thunderstorm." I reckon that was their scam to get you off the phone so they didn't have as many calls calling the call center. So the guys could see at the office go, thunderstorm coming. Let's kick back and have a coffee and a couple of beers. It's going to go quiet. But that was a common thing, that you can get electrocuted. Mythbusters threw that one off. But of course, who are Mythbusters? They don't really know much about that stuff anyway. In fact, they're myths that they were debunking. There was a whole 10 years worth of TV in that shit. So telephones we're still on, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah, telephones.
So
yeah.
the thunderstorm, the thunderstorm electricals. The
I bet that one.
well,
I bet, and I kind of seem to remember that for a short while that myth kind of returned with mobile phones.
Yeah, well, back in the first day of mobile phones, it looked like you were calling it an airstrike, as Quinny so aptly pointed out to us a while ago. God, they were phones. If you could use them to fend off an attacker. That's one of the things. You can't pull your phone out and on guard nowadays. Back then, you had a brick in your hand. Yeah, you could throw it square on the back of the head.
Not just that, my first phone had a little antenna that you could pull out.
Those antennas, they didn't do anything.
No, exactly. It didn't do anything. I tried to do. I even unscrewed it and called with it, and it was like there was like zero difference. It was just there to like, oh look, you have a phone with an antenna. Because I guess otherwise people wouldn't believe that your phone would get any signal or something like that.
Yeah, it just wasn't possible back in the day. I don't know. Marketing is a weird fucking thing. But of course, that does lead us to a lot of the things of urban myths, like crystals. Yeah, like what does a crystal really do? If you align a bunch of crystals around your computer, do you really work better? Probably not, but someone makes $10 to find out that it doesn't work. So I think a lot of myths come from marketing, don't they? Probably the underpinning thing.
Yeah, well, and I do believe that if you believe in that sort of thing, having it around you, having calming crystals around you probably calms you down.
They also tend to suggest things at you too, like with the phones, those old flip phones. We went from 7-digit phone numbers to 8-digit numbers. You couldn't remember a phone number anymore. But in the older day, everyone knew the 123, 1234 number. You could remember that. And just having it 81 destroyed your memory, which could almost be a wonderful segue into memory, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, yes. I was gonna go continue on that it's not just the length of the phone number, because we had 10-digit phone numbers for the longest time, and it wasn't that hard to remember phone numbers. But it's just like now you don't need to remember them anymore. Everything is stored. All those phone numbers are stored in your phone. So why would I need to remember my mom's phone number? If I open my phone and I select my mom, I can call my mom.
Yeah, and so can I. But not that I would do that. Oops. Right. Okay.
Well, with your age, that would have been that would be a séance instead of a phone call. So it might be a little bit harder.
Yeah, and as Mallory has just pointed out in the chat, no, they weren't 4 digits. Mallory, someone who's possibly around your vintage, picked up an old rotary dialer and went, what, there were only 10 phone numbers back in those days. So you thought you could dial a number once. That was it. You only had 10 possible combinations. Good thinking there, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they had a bit more than 4 digits anyway.
Yeah. But nowadays it's so hard to remember my phone number. Even my own phone number. I know my personal number, but I don't even know my work number. Like I lately, it seems like I have the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just that your memory and short-term memory loss and smoking weed. But what does weed cause if weed causes that? You sure it's the phone number and not the weed use? But anyway, okay. But then goldfish, they're pretty stupid, aren't they? According to Nemo, and that was around before Nemo actually. That's a bit of a Mandela effect about the goldfish with the 3-second memory. So we run it first.
Let's run the video about do goldfish actually have a 3-second memory, or is that an urban myth?
Hi, I'm I'm Katie Wayne, and this is Animalist
Oh,
News.
hi.
We all know that goldfish are super stupid and they only have a 3-second memory, right? Wrong. Goldfish are actually really smart, and this is a problem for me because I'm a pescatarian mostly. And until now, I've been able to comfort myself with the thought that fish and the like aren't very smart and don't even know what's going on. So much for that idea. I don't want to be a vegetarian, but I also don't want to take responsibility for my part in murdering and consuming intelligent animals. That's my predicament, but I digest. Nailed it. Researchers at the Technion Institute of Technology trained young fish to associate a sound played through a loudspeaker
That
with
was a
feeding
bad
time.
joke, and I love
Each
it.
time the sound was played, the fish would return for food. After a few weeks of training, the fish were released into the ocean, but continued to return for food 5 months later. Other scientists at Plymouth University claim that goldfish can even tell time. The fish were trained to nudge a lever to receive food and adapted when time constraints were added. Goldfish even have the ability to bond with people. God, get a bigger fishbowl. After becoming familiar with someone, goldfish will be much more active and may even stop seeing that person as a potential threat. Blind goldfish exhibited the same type of behavior, except for they were able to associate and respond to their owner's voice. So all this time, goldfish have had a bad rap when really they're just as smart as some small mammals. I mean, what else can they do but build up their confidence in carpe diem? Do you get it? Because a goldfish is a type of carp. Get on my level. Tell me about your pet goldfish. I once had an orange one named Ronald because I'm hilarious. Be sure to check out these videos over here. Subscribe right here. And I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.
Well,
Okay, now, you know what's cool about this?
I
On the
think
news today, this is so
I
appropriate.
think I'll say kind of in love. Oh yeah, a goldfish. Yeah, about
Yeah,
the not being been asking not to dump goldfish in the rivers anymore, in the ponds and the lakes.
Yeah, now did you see how big it was? Because they're
Yes.
basically carp and they will grow to the size of the tank. One of them was 38 centimeters long. I mean, that's bigger than the trout we pull out of the lake here. And God, they're huge and they're friendly and they could probably take a leg off. And the interesting thing I've got though is we have a fly here who I think has better than the 3-second memory, who may be doing some harmonies later past the microphone. So if anyone hears the fly, that's him doing his harmonies, which we've arranged, but it's a little bit working with animals and children. And unfortunately, we're both blessed with that pleasure, aren't we? Of working with both.
I
But
told him.
yeah.
I told him no. Why do you promise to? Why are you promising him things that I told him not, that he's not allowed to do?
Well, it's Charlie. He looks at you with his little fly eyes, all 3,000 of them, the way they look at you. How do you say no to a cute little face like a fly? I just can't say no. I'll have to spot him one day. But, I go to line him up and no, I just can't do it. But, yeah, that's a huge goldfish. Problem is, being carp, you can't eat them. They're just full of bones and terrible taste and yuck. And, yeah. So people think they're doing the right thing by releasing them. They don't want the goldfish anymore. The kids aren't looking after them. So we'll let them go into the rivers and create ecological disasters. If we have a
Yes.
river left, of course.
Yes, because they're actually kind of powerful swimmers apparently, and they were not just by eating but also by swimming they were ripping out like plants that were part of the ecosystem, and they were really destroying the ecosystem of the lakes.
Carp's technique. Yeah, carp's eating technique is to chew the dirt up and spit it back out, and they get whatever algae and stuff's in there to live off. So yeah, they actually made our rivers go brown when the good old English introduced them here many years ago during the first stages of colonization. And hey, Cheaty, how are you?
Hey,
of course,
Cheese.
although there's urban myths, those ones are pretty bad that you don't release a fish. But what about the ones like, there's an urban myth that's not a myth, and Elvis is still alive. We all know Elvis is still alive. So that's a common one.
Absolutely.
Everyone sees him doing their shopping. We have all seen Elvis everywhere at some stage, haven't we? So that's an urban myth we don't really need to top on, because we would have to have suspicious minds to think he'd really died, wouldn't we?
Yeah, no, exactly, because I remember I was walking from the shoe store because I bought these beautiful blue suede shoes, and I saw him right there.
Okay. Little less conversation, a little more action, perhaps.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's right.
Shall we move? Yes.
Move on. Well,
Shall we move along?
Yeah,
along
go
the
ahead.
musical path.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I was thinking of maybe taking a bit of a break.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, you didn't have something to say. Well, look, firstly, are fans dangerous? That's one I do need to ask about Urban Myths.
Well, John Lennon sure seems to think so.
Okay. All right. Well, oh dear, this is getting terrible, isn't it? Okay, the ad breaks. Look, I've got a car. I need a car, dude, but the old manual, I'm getting old and grumpy enough to deserve an automatic.
No,
So I want an
no.
automatic car. These are the weekly demands. Come on, you know by now, it's always weekly demands.
So
So I'm wanting a new car that's automatic.
you
I'm
only want
also-
to you only want to shift it forward and shift it in reverse.
Possibly, but I also need a car that's, well, going to give me a cool driving experience. I just don't want to get in and drive to the shops and back. I want to, I don't know, have an extended, beautiful driving experience. Of course, I do need to get my tax done. I love doing tax. And of course, I have a love for Skittles as well. So
I don't
I
know,
kind of
man.
think unless we can satisfy these needs, I'm going to lose the plot and leave. So
I don't know, man,
Listen, you're gonna be doing this by
about doing the taxes, because I don't think that people that work for the tax for the tax department have a heart. I mean,
okay.
so yeah, let's have a break, and we'll get back to you after the break with Gateway to Hell, and Exploding Births, and Killer Fans. So we'll see you after the
Sergeant-
break.
With Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club.
Exactly. Well, there we go. Let's rock around the clock tonight, and take a break. See you later. Bye.
We found a whole bunch of mistakes on your taxes, Mr. Cupid.
You owe quite a large amount of money. Quite a lot. What are you doing? What is this? Don't. No, Mr. Cupid. I'm an IRS agent. This has no effect on me whatsoever. Is that real gold? Is that necessary? I'm sure that's worth something, and you need every penny you can get.
That one did it! That one did it! No, it didn't! Hey, everybody, look! Hey, kid, you got any more arrows in there? You're fresh out!
Don't face taxes alone. You've got people. Find your people at hrblock.com.
Wait! It's working! I love my job!
Hey, Tim, show Joel how everything you touch turns into Skittles.
That's awesome.
Is it awesome? When you can't hold your newborn baby boy in your arms. Did you feed and dress yourself this morning? I didn't. I met a man on the bus today. I shook his hand. He'll never see his family again. I guess that's pretty awesome. Excuse me.
Touch the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Hey baby, how is your car run? Do you have a trouble with your transmission? Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestic or foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestic or foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestic or foreign, I please you with my service. Shift it in forward, shift it in reverse. Domestic or foreign, I please you with my service. Hello, my name is Gorgon. Let me help you shift it.
Well, there we go.
I have come to fix the transmission. Why do I get a feeling of an 80s VHS video with that last one? Oh, wasn't that Kia and Brie? Hey, Batch, how are you, man?
Hey, Batch.
Wasn't that Kia and just fucking awesome?
That was
got
fucking
right off on that
awesome.
one.
There was so much going on in that ad. I just loved it. I just had to put it in the ad break because, yeah.
Yeah. Well.
And of
Okay,
course,
so after that
and
was-
of course, the Skittle murderer.
Yeah. One of the things with ads, they're actually more entertaining than the TV, than the shows that they're actually paying for. So,
that's why we run ads to at least our viewers have something entertaining, right?
yeah, of course, you don't let on. Maybe I think one or two of them haven't realised that yet. Okay. All right. So we were off there in the distant realms of Elvis. Okay. One of the coolest urban myths that's got around for decades was the Beatles with Paul McCartney, who apparently was murdered. And this was all put together by Beautiful Effects when, for an early clip, they advertised and said, we want people who look like Beatles members, because they just wanted to film hundreds of Beatles in an area. And for some reason, that got shortened down to a Paul McCartney lookalike competition. When you look on the cover of Abbey Road, 3 of them wore clothes, but Paul had a white suit and no shoes. I think it was on the back, actually. There was a record, Sgt. Pepper's, where when you run it backwards somewhere, apparently George Harrison says, I buried Paul. I've never heard that one myself. Mind you, I heard the one on Pink Floyd where you say you found the secret of the wall. And all this put together to make out that Paul McCartney is apparently dead. Yet to this day, he's still alive. And I don't know. I think Paul kind of, would know.
I was going to say, it's actually extra funny because he's only one of the 2 that's still alive.
Yes. And for Cheesy, he'll love this one. But the Beatles is a cricket score, mate. They were 1 for 41 and they were 2 for 62. They could be 3 for 80 or so. But anyway, we'll find out there. The future will tell all. So, yeah, on our music... there are those, aren't there? The musical urban myths, but they're all based on rock star stories. So I think we'll cover those on maybe a different era. But have you got any of the old ones you heard of? I don't know, certain musicians that did things that they never really did, apart from Keith Richards was around before the Big Bang, when we all know that's true. So it's not an urban myth.
Well, I was going to say
myth?
Not really. I was thinking, well, of course, in the same vein that Betty White was there too. I think that Betty White might have been there a little bit earlier too.
Okay.
Oh, of course the thing that you what you said about the Beatles. With Paul McCartney being dead, is that if you played their one of their albums, was it Sgt. Pepper? If you played it in reverse,
yeah, I said that.
But what wasn't there an album that if you played it in reverse, it actually did say something?
Pink Floyd. Yeah, Pink Floyd, The Wall. If you go up to the song Empty Spaces, just before he says "What shall," you turn the speed of your record player off and stop it, and then when you wind it backwards, it says, "Congratulations, you have just found the secret of the wall," and that's clearly put in there for trickery and thuggery and Pink Floydery and for stoners. But of course, I wouldn't know that because I've never listened to Pink Floyd under the influence of illicit substances. That would be bad for you.
Who smokes weed these days, man? It apparently apparently it causes short-term memory loss, and you know that's something you don't want.
Oh, look, I just couldn't do it because the amount of Brill cream I used to run back then, I had to have a HAZCAM sign and I would have gone up like in a ball of flames too. So Brill cream helps put the end to that stuff back in the day. Oh, right. So moving along, God. The thing of bourbon mist too, what we were saying about them, right? They're actually used as clever methods of marketing. Now, a good one I found was Urban Myths on Cancer, where it's seen everything from Marmite, peanut butter, cow's milk, and it was designed to undermine cancer because cigarette companies liked everything else to cause cancer too. And so there was a little bit of anti-marketing that came out there big time back in the earlier days when we were discovering that cigarettes were killing people, and because their customers were dying, they had to get new ones. So they sort of try to devalue cancer by saying, I don't know, everything from putting on socks in the morning to, drinking beer. Of course, that might cause it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, if there is a God, it kind of makes sense that pretty much everything causes cancer, because if there is a God, he must be an asshole. So,
yeah. Actually, though, I've got a nice little one that's just jumped into my head. Tony reckons that Paul's music sucked after he was meant to have died. No, I reckon Wings was actually really good. That album, Venus and Mars, was very visionary. And we just had a conjunction of Venus and Mars yesterday on a fingernail crescent moon. So there's something very astrological there. If you're into astrology, you'd love to pull that one out, wouldn't you? But anyway, just thought I'd throw that up. Thanks, Tony, for the Paul's music. But I actually liked Wings. So
yeah,
fight me, that's it. Yeah.
You know,
okay.
In the town where I was born, there lived a man who believed that rice, you know, that people throw at weddings, can cause birds to explode. Have you heard about that one?
I didn't. I kind of had this imagination of birds exploding, and I never saw one do it.
No,
the amount of money I wasted on rice.
Yeah, exactly. I've been feeding the birds in my garden like tons of rice. Like I just at some point I just opened like a kilo bag of rice and just dumped it there for the birds, and no man, they just wouldn't explode. It was just messed up.
Yeah, and embarrassing in a war zone, isn't it? Like when you're in a theater of war and you parachute in with a whole bunch of birds and a bag of rice, you've got to stuff that rice in and throw those birds over the fence, and it depend on an explosion. Your life could be in the balance of this. So, well, yeah, unfortunately,
and then I thought was like, well, maybe it's just wedding rice, right? So I took my binoculars. And I went to wedding parties, and I went there to observe the birds. Apparently the local authorities didn't really like me being there, but I was just doing important research, man. It's, yeah.
Speaking of,
I was doing nothing. I was just standing there. I was just standing there in my dirty clothes and my binoculars near a wedding. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
I think it was the box of tissues next to you and the jar of baby oil. I like to say jar, but as we know, it was a 5-litre drummer. A 5-litre drum of baby oil and a jar of tissues. That's you're pushing the
I didn't know what would happen if all those birds exploded. I wanted to be there to so people to wipe themselves clean, and maybe a little bit of baby oil to help them relax.
At a wedding. Oh, God, as if there's not enough sexual innuendo jokes at a wedding, yes, but still, there you are, off in the bushes. Good to see that the old traditions are being kept alive, because, back in my day, you guys have got it so easy stalking on the internet now. We actually had to do it hands-on. You'd have to go out in the cold with a coat and a deck chair and your tissues and binoculars and get a good position, stake it out, and then get away. You know, like these were skills. You guys just jump on the internet and stalk each other. Gone bloody soft, actually. Just so fucking soft. Anyway, that's now I've had my high and mighty for this minute. Back in the day is due. There'll be another one in about a minute's time.
But yes. I was actually doing the wrong segue because I was skipping a video for a segue.
I kind of thought that.
Yeah,
I thought that, but I thought no, I won't embarrass you on the YouTube because you do a good enough job of that yourself, and you really don't need me helping you. So now the cue is incorrect, or do we have the technology in this 60s base, somewhat Tracy Island looking set to be able to get us back on track again? Or is it the Gomez train wreck cue time?
I can of course just switch the videos, but I just wanted everyone to know what kind of failure I am, because the ladies like the failures, right?
So I just love that Gomez. Oh, the way he just at the end. I reckon Gomez has shot his load there. I do. I almost do every time. It's like the old black and white movies.
Too much personal information. I'm just gonna play the Rice video, and does rice actually cause birds to explode?
Okay.
You may have heard that you shouldn't throw rice at weddings because it's bad for birds. Because they will eat it and it will expand in their stomachs and hurt them or even make them explode. Fortunately, it takes more than a few grains to stop these tiny dinosaurs. And we can demonstrate why, with chemistry. This myth seems to go back to at least the 1980s, including a law introduced in the Connecticut state legislature attempting to ban rice at weddings, as well as an advice column by Ann Landers. The fear is that rice will expand in the innards of our feathered friends the way it does when you cook it on the stove. It draws in more and more water until... Rice expands because it contains these starch granules. Starch has lots of water-loving hydroxyl groups, and it's packed up tightly inside those granules. As water drifts in, it sticks to the starch, forcing the tightly packed starch molecules to spread out and the starch granules to swell. That makes the whole rice grain expand. But there are a few differences between a bird and your faithful rice cooker. A bird's digestive system is breaking down food for energy. Birds' internal plumbing is a little different than ours. Technically, they have a crop, not a stomach, which is the organ we're worried about in cases of hypothetical rice rupture. Your rice cooker cooks rice in less than an hour in your kitchen, but that's thanks to the heat. At a bird's body temperature of around 102 Fahrenheit, it might take around 4 hours for rice to swell fully. And in that amount of time, it's also being broken down and digested. It doesn't just sit there and wait patiently for its chance to blow up the bird. We tried it at room temperature, or, well, a bit lower than room temperature in our chilly studio. I combined the rice with room temperature water at a volume ratio of 3:1 so that there'd be plenty of water to absorb and let the rice get big and fluffy. But even leaving the rice overnight from about 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. didn't result in much of an expansion of the grains at the temperature we had to work with. From this single statistically non-rigorous trial, we didn't get rice to passively expand very much at all. But hold on to that thought. Rice is a type of grain that some wild birds rely on as a food source. If it was dangerous, we'd see those birds dropping out of the sky all the time. Other seeds, which birds eat, expand too by a similar amount to rice. We bought some white millet birds.
Can you? I hate to bother, but can you imagine living somewhere where they grow rice and you feel like meat splatter in your face? Oh fuck! Another bird exploding. Shit.
Oh well. Well, at least we know if you're into exploding your birds, you don't go up the rice path. You can already avoid that.
Yeah.
Based on it. According to Tony, it was people who got fed up. Yeah, it probably would block your drains and things in the driveways because, rice is pretty gluggy shit. So, your stormwater drains might get filled up with the crap. If you've got a wedding, 2 or 3 weddings a week at a place, that would then become an environmental issue.
No, you could just leave it for the birds.
Seed in a variety of grains and grain-like things. I think some of these are technically pulses. Lentils, beans, and pearl barley. We used the same volume of both grains and water for each trial, and left them for the same overnight interval as our rice. And, well, the millet floated, so it's hard to say. But our other options expanded dramatically more than the rice did at the same temperature, which might lead you to conclude that if rice is a bird guts explosion risk, so is every other kind of seed they might conceivably want to eat. We're basing this demonstration on a 2005 paper in the American Biology Teacher by Dr. Jim Krupa, who found that instant rice expands way more than regular rice under the conditions you might find in a bird's digestive system. So, if regular rice can't explode a bird, could instant? We started with equal volumes of plain white and instant rice in an equal volume of water. We got the same result. Instant rice expands like crazy. We couldn't find a definitive answer as to why instant rice expands more than regular rice, but we're guessing it's because it's already been cooked and dried out again. The cooking process doesn't just draw in water. It also starts to rupture the structure of the rice grains, as well as expand cracks that were created during the milling process. So when you cook the rice a second time, there's probably even more room for water to creep in and expand. I'm guessing that's also why it floated. Those cracks were filled with air until they soaked up water. Does that mean instant rice is dangerous? Well, birds don't seem to like it very much. Dr. Krupa fed both to his pet birds, and they picked plain rice over instant. But even when the birds did eat instant rice, it didn't seem to hurt them. Plus, nobody's buying instant rice to throw at weddings because that stuff's expensive. If you want to be super safe, throw regular rice. Super safe for birds, I mean. The concern is admirable, but it's not backed up by the science. Also, isn't all that rice kind of a slip hazard? Is something I learned when I dropped the box of instant rice and spilled it all over the studio floor. Whoops. Looking for more videos that spark your curiosity? Check out this new playlist by PBS Digital Studio.
So yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. I'm like I just couldn't imagine an exploding bird. Well, it wouldn't be literally exploding. I get that, but I just couldn't imagine like something like that happening from something like rice.
I had a little dog once who just hooked into a bowl of rice. I can't remember how he got it. I might have left it outside or something and it fell over. He ate it. And he was cactus for half a day or so, just lying there with all this rice in his guts. But yeah, he didn't explode. He just sat there looking at me with this, "Oh, I'm never going to do that again." And I said, "Yeah, I know you aren't. It's good when you see your dog come a cropper." Anyway, geez, that was a long video for a relatively... yeah, anyway. Okay, well, on the other cool bits of some urban myths, what are some of the more famous ones? There's the old Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen. Walt Disney, well, as I wrote in the article, if by cryogenically frozen you mean cremated, that's what happened. Walt Disney was the first famous person to die after they'd announced being cryogenically done. What's the other one? The famous Bloody Mary, which is the old Beetlejuice theme. Apparently, back in the 1700s, you stood at a mirror and said Mary 3 times or whatever, and this was for women, and your future husband's face would appear. And if there was no face, you were going to die without a husband. Evil, cruel, and nasty stuff. There's the old famous spider pimple, bursting a pimple outrun spiders. And there's a horrible fly that does a similar thing, so it's probably crossed over there. What are the other ones? The usual things of food, Chinese foods made with cats and dogs. Totes bullshit because it just wouldn't happen. What's the other one?
There is also a Japanese version of of what you said in the mirror, only slightly creepier. That if you go to the girl's bedroom and it's like the third to last stall, and you knock like 3 times and you say her name, and I don't exactly know what her name is anymore. Then like the murdered girl appears in the bedroom stall or something like that.
Nice. There's always the waking up in an ice bath in a third world country with a kidney missing. It probably never happened. Classic building houses on Indian burial grounds. We all know how bad that is. You get a cheap house though.
Oh yeah, and good
what's,
and good security because listen, if your house is haunted by evil spirits, having it's okay, maybe not evil, maybe just protective of the place where they were buried, but no one's gonna steal your shit.
Well, I've got other things in place that stop that. I mean, my sign on the door says don't beware of the dog, watch out for the owner. That seems to work. Or another sign is if you break in, we won't hand you over to the police. But on that urban mythy side, there's a few things that do have their basis, like carrots being good for your eyes was done by the World War II pilots to not let on that they had working radar for night flying during the Battle of Britain. So they let out the rumour that the British pilots ate lots of carrots. And the German guys ate lots of carrots and thought, well, this doesn't really work. So that's lasted for nearly 180 years or so, the carrots being good for your eyes. So some of them stick. But when it comes to bullshitting, I'll let you in a bit of a secret here, Adam, but Aussies are not bad when it comes to bullshitting. I know you're doubting it, but trust me on this one.
So you're the exception.
Well, look, I can just tell you that some of the things we've said to our overseas friends just might not be true.
Okay.
Some of them do have a basis in truth, but the infamous drop bear. Okay, now it's heard of nowadays. It's a koala that jumps out from whatever height and stuns you, and I don't know, it goes for the jugular, which is a load of crap. But the actual term for a drop bear,
it's a load of crap.
It is well. The actual term is a load of crap. It came from the Papua New Guinean troops where they were out in little squads of 4 to 6 men. You would have to climb a tree and take up what is a sniper's position in order to keep an eye out for other squads coming towards you, because they couldn't fight in big formations being jungly. So you were up the tree. Now, once you're up there, you don't want to break cover. So when you needed to do your business, you'd basically piss down the trunk of the tree so that would not give away your position. But what they'd have to do, if they wanted to take a dump, they would take a dump up in the tree. Now, you can't leave turds around because of dysentery and whatever. So whoever was up the tree on guard duty in semi-sniper mode would take a dump and yell out drop bear, which was a signal to the other guys to come over and basically shovel over and put some crap, get rid of your shit and thus be a cleaner jungle. So that was the true term of a drop bear. It was having a turd from a tree at a high volume because you couldn't come down and break cover. And that is what my uncle, who was an old sort of World War II vet, he was in the Australian infantry. So that's what he told me. And I'm not around to he's not around for me to reconfirm, but that's that one. That's really cool. Now, we have some beauties. There's kind of a Yowie that's more or less Bigfoot. That's part of First Aussie culture. Legendary Black Panthers wander around the Grampians, apparently left over from some US station troops. Again, a load of crap. There's another one in a place called
We actually had like a little myth about panther here too. Like we have like a foresty area here, and it was a couple of years ago. It must have been like 12 years ago, where there were rumors that that a big cat was spotted, and it might have been a panther, and like it was a persistent myth, even though like any experts were like, listen, even to be sure, we went to visit the people that we know have that sort of animals, and they're all accounted for. The chance that someone illegally had a panther somewhere and it got out isn't really big, and like the sightings were inconsistent, and the footage they had was like not clear enough, and the footage that they did had most experts said like, listen, this is just like a really big house cat. And wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? And this is actually true. Not long during that time, and this is purely coincidental. Let's be clear. we got cats in the animal shelter that had to be placed into a separate cat cage each and an extra big cat cage each because they were fucking huge. They were really, really big, and we started calling them the Panthers. And even funnily enough, after that, the myth died out. Now I live in the same area, so I'm 100% convinced that it is a coincidence, but it was a pretty cool coincidence.
You see the odd big cat scurry off and it looks a bit bigger. So, yeah, because most people associate kittens with being small, but feral cats do get big. Some of them do get up to medium dog size, or not medium dog, but okay.
This were normal house cats, but they were just really big bones. They weren't even fat. They were actually generally big boned. It was actually kind of amazing. They weren't even like Maine Coons or something like that. They were just it was quite a sight, and we called them the Panthers.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another one we have in a river in a place called Wagga Wagga, which is New South Victorian border. They tell the tourists that there's going to be a wave coming down the river at 5 o'clock that you can surf on. It doesn't exist, but they all sit there at the pub and laugh at the tourists out there sitting with their surfboards waiting for the 5 o'clock wave. You lying bastards. Another one of our Tasmanian tigers. It's a sort of a dog big possumy thing that's hasn't been seen for 100 years. Sadly, it's extinct. We have a Crown Casino. This is a recent building. It's only 20 years old, but there's apparently a toilet that's always occupied and connects to the underground morgue. Again, a load of shit. But the one that's really cool is we were getting rumours of sharks being inland in Queensland, up to 40 kilometres inland. What a load of bullshit. Jeremy, who does River Monsters, actually came out here and found 2 bull sharks in the waterways of Queensland. They got through during the floods in 2010. So that's an urban myth that's actually ended up being true. We do have saltwater sharks that travel in fresh waters. They're bull sharks. They look a lot like a white pointer, and they're quite nasty. So, yeah, it's not always safe to go swimming in a river.
No, well, maybe they swam up from that hole from hell.
A hole from hell? I don't know. If there's a hole from hell, that means
to hell.
God exists.
A hell to hell, yeah. Well, there is allegedly an urban myth that in Siberia, the Russians dug a hole that and that hole went really, really deep, and it was they measured really extreme temperatures inside that hole. And they lowered a heat-resistant microphone into the hole, and they were hearing sounds that creeped the fuck out of people because it sounded like sounds from hell. And I have a video about it, if you're dare to watch.
Okay, just before you do, I've just got to throw a response on to Tony. Yeah, Tony, there's an Amazon River wave that's actually surfable. It's about a 2 to 3 foot wave, runs down somewhere in the Amazon or South America. So there is one that exists. It's just that the one in Wagga Wagga is a load of bullshit. And the guys at the pub sit there saying there's a couple of locals. They just have a chuckle. But yeah, there are surfable waves that are dependable in places in the world. So thanks, Tony. Good to know you're there. Okay, sorry, man. Roll clip.
The inclination to explore is deeply rooted in human instinct. Like our ancestors who left their homelands to explore places beyond the sea, our species has since traveled under the ocean, into the sky, and even to the very stars. Today on Scream to Screen, we'll be discussing the details and the stories of otherworldly incidents surrounding the dark legacy of the Russian Well to Hell. Before we do that, make sure you subscribe to Graveyard Shift. The so-called Cold War was at a boiling point, with tensions simmering between the Soviet Union and the United States. And as these tensions heightened, so did each superpower's need for massive amounts of energy. Both nations needed near infinite energy supplies in order to sustain themselves and their societies. This kicked off a competition for oil reserves and fuel sources. Soviet Russia, in its search for ever greater power, decided to tap into unused lands, hoping to find more natural deposits of oil that they could bring to the surface. The Soviets went to extreme lengths to dig as deep as possible for new reservoirs of crude oil. In 1989, a Siberian mining team supposedly managed to drill 14.5 kilometers, or 9 miles, beneath the Earth's surface, piercing our planet's crust and breaching some kind of cavity. In an effort to investigate further, Soviet scientists lowered testing equipment into the abyss. Their equipment reportedly discovered that the temperature inside the cavity was an astonishing 1,100 degrees centigrade, or about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The scientists called it an inferno of fire.
What's
what they were able
Fahrenheit?
to record with their instrument's microphone attachment was an even greater shock. The microphone was only able to survive the tremendous heat for about 25 seconds before melting, but in that time, it managed to capture something that baffled and disturbed the scientists: the sound of screaming.
That's not
The
the recording, by
scientists
the
and
way.
engineers on location reported what sounded like hundreds, maybe thousands of people yelling in agony. It seemed impossible, but those who heard the terrible screams believed that they had drilled all the way to the subterranean underworld of hell itself. Many of the staff quit right on the spot, so shaken by the thought that they had heard the wailing of suffering sinners and their demonic tormentors. Those who remained attempted to come up with a scientific explanation for what they had recorded, but they were not prepared to explain what happened next. The following night, as the story goes,
Yeah, the story gets bizarre, and it becomes really clear that it's a load of bullcrap, like with demonic bats and that sort of thing. But yeah, it turns out that the Russian there isn't even proof of the Russians drilling a hole that deep in Siberia. Let alone that there were microphones that were even for a few seconds resistant to the heat that they were describing. It was
Well, the drilling, they do have the record for the deepest hole, but it
Not in
didn't get to
Siberia.
molten rock or through the crust.
Yeah,
but not in Siberia. Yeah,
It
so-
wasn't in Siberia.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough. Yes. But of course, you can always tell when there's a deep voice in that ominous, funny piano music. It's got to be true to add to the ominous mystery of it all. Which is a wonderful little point I've got to bring up now, is that we had a race driver here who, believe it or not, was a fantastic. His name was Peter Brock, great driver, real ambassador for the sport, pretty boy marketing tool, excellent driver. We all loved him. He actually got in cahoots with a guru who started selling green crystal polarizers for the car. And he used to bless all the car parts. And they would bring in all these high quality, super expensive racing parts. And the guru would say, oh no, this one's got a bad vibe about it. And he'd have to, no, you can't use these engine parts. And all the blessed parts that the guru would give the mechanics to make the engines still broke. He didn't win any races. He lost the plot, but he believed the guru so much with the green crystals and the polarizer, it nearly killed his reputation. So sometimes some urban myths actually can be destructive, because up until the guru and the polarizer, Peter Brock was an Australian icon. After then, everyone thought, oh my God, this guy is loopier than a circus, than a three-ring circus. It was weird. Sometimes people just believe this stuff. Oh my God, I'm being attacked by the sports feature. What's going on?
So I actually have the sound. If you're interested.
The sound of what?
The sound that they recorded.
The actual people screaming from hell?
Yeah.
Oh no, this would prove God's existence.
It's a bit of annoying sound, so I won't play the full 70 seconds. But it's dumb.
Oh, okay. Sounded like a Tokyo subway. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought we'd done that bit. Okay. I didn't know you had the actual. Right. So it's what they want to hear. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and maybe when you're really deeply religious, okay, maybe.
Well, of course, we do know one that's not an urban myth is the water gay frogs. I mean, the additives they're putting in the water make the frogs gay. So that's one we can't do tonight because that's not an urban myth. If Alexi Jones is saying it, it's got to be true. So we can't do
everything
gay
that Alex
frogs in
Jones, everything Alex Jones says is 100% true, always.
Yes, therefore, not topical on tonight's show. So thank you, Alex, for not giving us any material. It sounds like Tony's pub on a Saturday night. Yeah, I agree. It sounds like some pubs I've been to, but more the room out the back. So we're following along pretty well. So we've done the gay frogs, yes.
We've done the gay frogs. We done the hole to hell, and we shown how you kill birds with rice. You don't?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, you need to get better ways. We've found out that Elvis, as we know, is still alive. We have no doubts there.
Yes.
I wonder what his food bill's like now.
I've no idea. Do you think he shows up at Elvis impersonation events?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up.
It just says it just calls himself like Jake or something like that. I am Jake.
and people actually point out to him, other Elvises point out how tacky and bad his Elvis impression is.
Yeah.
How he's nothing like Elvis and probably should be ashamed of himself.
I'm not quite sure. I have to quickly Google, but I think that Charlie Chaplin once participated in a Charlie Chaplin impersonation event, and he didn't win.
Right. So was he disappointed, or
I don't know. I don't know. He came. He came in like he didn't win for some reason. So that's kind of I find here he came in 20th, with I don't think he did. I think he came in like 3rd or something like that. But
that's not bad.
According to this article, he came in 20th from the 40.
Tony reckons he came in 3rd.
Oh yeah,
Tony's
yeah.
Probably Googling.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so I can actually imagine that even not necessarily Elvis impersonator, but probably the original or any original would probably not win an impersonator contest. Probably because it's like too genuine or something like that. You know, if you want an impersonator, you want an impersonator to a good impersonator is not a copy, right?
I suppose so. I've never really done the impersonator.
And I think
myself, yeah.
And I think that probably might be the reason why Elvis probably wouldn't win an Elvis impersonator contest, because he wouldn't do the isms, because it's him, and the isms are things like that he did maybe once or twice on television and made him and became part of his image, but it's not actually him, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. Yes.
And so if you're an impersonator, if you're an impersonator, you're expected to act like how people perceive you instead of how you actually are.
Which you're more likely to do because you're doing the perception yourself. You're seeing the same material that the people who are watching are seeing, whereas the actual original isn't perceiving it at all because they're just doing what they do.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like asking Lewis Hamilton how to drive a car fast. He doesn't really know. He just gets in and does it. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that's also why Charlie Chaplin probably wouldn't win, because when you're pretending to be Charlie Chaplin, you watch all his movies and you do his moves in his movies, but that's something that he had to do 20 takes of, and but at a matter of not in that time, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. The other thing too is guys like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keating were also geniuses behind the camera as well. Like they did particular camera angles and they knew how to give it more legs, so to speak. So they also, apart from being good actors on one side, they were good from the other side as well. I mean, Tarantino is similar, the way he uses the camera. And in fact, we have this in VR games nowadays. People don't quite know what people want to do in a VR game. Like, does VR become a cinema experience? In fact, what I'm noticing, people can't walk around in VR games. I think what you're going to need to be is in like one of those circly, spinny things where you kind of pretend to walk in your VR game. Otherwise, the virtual world, you're going to walk into walls or each other, or I don't know. It's a weird thing. What do you want to experience?
Yeah, well, there are anime who propose sort of like a neural link, and that you sort of full dive while you're sitting, you're just sitting in your chair or you're lying in your bed, but because there is like a neural link, you experience like you're walking around instead of while you're not actually walking around. And I can imagine in something like 2070 to be something like that to be possible.
Yeah, well, Red Dwarf covered it with the Better Than Life game, and it'd be like dreaming, because basically in a dream it feels pretty real in the dream, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what you got to induce. Yeah, it's sort of interesting to see where the VR is going to go. And I have digressed off topic there. So
absolutely.
How are we running for time?
We are actually going about 1 minute and 30 1 hour and 30 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah. And have we? Sorry, our set list has gone out of whack. So
no, we still have one important question to ask. We weren't that far out of topic because we were talking about Elvis Presley and Charlie Chaplin, and it might be a good time to ask that a really important question. Can fans actually kill you?
Oh, so that's when we were supposed to do the John Lennon joke.
That is why we were supposed to do the John Lennon joke. Exactly.
Well, see, we had the music bit at the start. I thought they'd all be married together well. Okay. Well, maybe we should just fragment our style a bit more, as if that's possible. Okay. Right. So you can lead us in on this because I can't remember it.
Short-term
memory loss.
There is a myth in that is mostly in South Korea, known in South Korea, that having a fan on in the heat in a closed window, not in a closed window, in a closed room, could kill you, especially when you went to bed a little bit drunk. And so the idea is that you die of hypothermia. And I have a video about it, guys. Don't worry. But I thought it was an interesting idea. So, yeah.
Let's have a look at it.
Let's have a look. Okay, fine.
Fans, we know them. We love them. They keep us nice and cool in the warmer months that turn sunshine and rainbows into a nightmarish, lightning-filled inferno. Or so I hear. Is it possible that they cool us down too much, though? That's one of the beliefs behind the myth, that in a sealed room, the use of an electric fan will cause the body temperature to lower, resulting in hypothermia. Or that's the claim, at least. The reports go that the air circulation in a sealed room, along with a sleeping person and often a round of drinking the night before, can cause fatally low temperatures. Others claim that the fan can cause a vortex of air and suffocate you. A buildup of carbon dioxide caused by either the fan's motor, the fan actively converting oxygen to carbon dioxide, and other seemingly less popular reasonings. Something seems off here, and it's not my coffee. Like with many superstitions, the exact cause is up for debate, though hypothermia seems to be the most commonly cited cause. I know what you're thinking. Is that even possible? Well, no. Probably not. But there are those who claim it is. In an interview with Korea's Junang Daily, Dr. Yeon Dong-soo, the dean of Kwangdong University's medical school, refuted explanations like carbon dioxide buildup and suffocation, but claimed that the hypothermia concerns were well warranted. Hypothermia does not only occur in the winter when it is cold. The symptoms can also take place if a person has been drinking and turns on a fan in a closed room. Most people wake up when they feel cold, but if you are drunk, you will not wake up, even if your body temperature drops below 35 degrees Celsius, at which point you can die from hypothermia. This story is so widespread that warning labels and automatic shutoff timers are common on electric fans in South Korea. The Korea Consumer Protection Board and Korea Consumer Agency have even reportedly warned that electric fans can cause hypothermia and suffocation. That's not to say that everyone in the medical community agrees, of course. Gord Geisbrecht, hey, it's Professor Popsicle again. A physical education professor from the University of Manitoba said that for hypothermia to be a concern, someone's body temperature would have to drop by 10 degrees overnight, more than what a fan can do. Geisbrecht added, "We've got people lying in snowbanks overnight here in Winnipeg, and they survive." Which isn't really news. People from Winnipeg are basically thermoses on legs. According to Dr. Lee Yoon Sung, a professor at Seoul's National University's medical school, the most likely culprit is pre-existing conditions like heart problems or alcoholism, and that media misrepresentation is the reason why the myth is so widespread.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Chun Rim, a professor at the Department of Nuclear and Quantum Engineering at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, that was a mouthful, even took things a step further and tested the myth himself. Studying his 11-year-old daughter overnight in a sealed room with a fan, he kept track of her temperature and vitals every 5 minutes. And it may not come as much of a surprise, but both he and his daughter survived the night. But where did this myth come from? Well, some claim that it originated in the 1970s, pushed by the government during an energy crisis, so people would use less power at night. This explanation makes sense, since according to a Maclean's article released in 2015, South Korea was importing 96% of their energy. However, by taking a closer look, it seems the myth dates all the way back to an article published in 1927 in the Jungho Ilbo, or Domestic and International Daily. At that time, it was claimed that the use of a fan came with a risk of nausea, facial paralysis, and even suffocation. But that was over 90 years ago. Why does this myth persist? It may be our old friend correlation and causation. South Korean summers are hot and humid, and it wouldn't be surprising that many people who lose their lives to various complications might have fans running. That, combined with the already existing superstitions, would leave an easy culprit to blame, and an easy cause to avoid. So, that's it.
Yeah, well, and it went on to actually come with that allegedly there is also some articles from the WHO that actually do agree that you can die from hypothermia by fans. But then it kind of turns out that the research was kind of dodgy, and the person doing the research was also kind of dodgy, and the conclusion was exactly the same, that no, even when you're a bit drunk, you're not likely to die from hypothermia by having your ceiling fan on.
Now it can happen though, and I think Tony can confirm this. I've had Scottish friends who told me that when you're walking home on the pub, you could actually be quite drunk, because, as we know, Scotsmen do love to take it to excess when it comes to having a beer, and you might go to sleep on a park bench and wake up dead because over there. But we're talking a North Sea, Northern England, Scottish overnight. Oh, God, you're a fucking icicle. Now, that's interesting how he used his daughter. Was it his 11-year-old daughter in that testing the third?
That kind of made me laugh.
I do remember his missus did interject when she was 12 years old and he wanted to do the "is it safe to sleep on top of a furnace" experiment. He didn't get to do that one. That was vetoed by the wife. And kids still got an experiment. Oh no, not fucking dead with another experiment. Yes, I love it. I'm going to point this one out though. Is as I said earlier, a guy I did see in summertime in America. His name is Rocket Scientist. He actually is one, and he put a hose on an oscillating fan. Now, as a person who's done construction site work, one thing I knew is the hose has, what do you call it? First law of reaction, Newton's first law, every equal opposite reaction. The fan, he's taped it to the fan oscillating, hosing the garden. So he's managing to disperse water everywhere, an electrical conductant, through the use of a oscillating fan that gets its cooling through the breeze and can draw water in. And there's also a bit of thrust and movement from the oscillating fan. To me, that is asking to kill someone. And if I saw someone doing that on a job site, it would be, dude, don't you ever use mains power around a watery area. You know, you actually do that in your production to always be careful of where, you know, your extension cords run. So knowledge and wisdom are different things, aren't they?
Well, yeah. So, yeah, that was the video material I had for our esteemed viewers.
Yes, which we seem to have scared them all off, but I think it gets a bit late this time of night over in wherever it happens to be. I think they all have to go to bed and get up for work or something like that.
Maybe,
spread
I
their
don't know.
COVID-y things.
It's like 10:30. It's like 10:30 in the evening, so it's not that. And in Britain, it's like 9:30 in the evening, so that's not that late. But yeah,
hot too, isn't it? So, okay.
I want to thank the people that did stick around for dropping by. I hope you liked. I hope you guys liked the new set. We are quite happy with it. It's been a while since we changed sets, so and we figured it was about time. So here we go.
And it was better than the Indian burial ground. So
yeah,
apparently
more expensive, but.
But hey, the budget is the budget. Oh, okay. Well, what are we going to do now? I've lost track on everything. Yeah, I've done everything on my list. God, my list is so big. It's almost as big as my diary. Yep. So everything on my list is covered. All one of it.
Well, if everything on your bucket list is done, then we might as well chill out and leave this place before we get some weird visitors that we don't want.
Well, who knows? And hopefully we could get another pet spider soon. It could be time. Maybe a pet goldfish. Maybe a pet spider goldfish. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not quite sure where I was going with that.
It's not like I still have some hedgehogs around or anything. I know that's
a pet hedgehog. That's interesting. Are we allowed hedgehogs after the health department and the, what was it, RSPCA or whoever it is?
I don't know. But sadly, all my hedgehog clones have died. They have died in the crash. So yeah, it's sad, really.
Okay, well, here's one for you. What's the difference between red and green? Fuck all if you're a cyclist.
That is sadly true, especially one of those wannabe Lance Armstrong cyclists.
Oh, the fucking yes, the lycra pants ones. They're the ones, yes.
Yes,
that's my parting thought.
At least here in the Netherlands, your general city biker does watch out, because they seem to care about their lives a little bit more than the sports cyclists.
Oh, dude, Tony has just shown me one of the best in what we were just saying there about the fan. The guys have got a Cambrook power board on 2 thongs floating in a pool that's running the power up to the table. This is like a blow-up pool, but a biggish one. Oh, Tony, oh, God, that scares me. And the thing of it is, if there were goldfish in there, they won't get it because they're not earthed. But the people who are there touching the ground, I don't know what happens there, but I think they can get a zap, and the water that runs over the side can create a circuit because it's got to go through you. But, oh, that is so, wow. Well, they're going to be out of the gene pool, aren't they? Hopefully they haven't bred, Tony. That's a great picture, man.
Gene pool.
Oh,
I didn't.
pool, yes,
I
get 'em
didn't.
out of the gene pool.
I didn't know that the guy doing that was named Gene. But yeah. Do we have anyone to show before we leave?
Well, Cheesy's doing his paranormal, whatever it is, show about this time tomorrow. Barman did See You Next Tuesday this time yesterday. What else did we do? Our friends over at the Shills, of course. They've got a few coming up on Friday. Check your guides. Everyone knows when they are anyway. We don't really need to shill them, do we? I don't know.
No,
What do you got?
no. Of course, everyone we mentioned there is always on at exactly the same time, and you always know when they're on. So I don't know why we would shield them. Yeah, I guess then we just have to leave. Next week is a movie. We're not quite sure what movie yet, because well, quite frankly, I think we both were all we both were feeling a bit.
We're in the middle of coldy, wintry shit, and you guys are in the middle of coldy, hotty, summery. Well, coldy summer, so it's way too hot for you guys at about 14 degrees, and it's way
hot
too
and
cold
then
for us guys at about 14 degrees.
It's hot and then rainy and then hot and then rainy and then hot and then rainy and
yeah. Yeah, Tony, you're dead right. It's when you put your foot on the ground. It's when you touch it and you earth out. Yeah.
Yeah, and right now my life is also in mortal danger for this week.
Because?
Well, you know, there's people that are supposed to be hundreds of kilometers away from me that are now a lot closer, and I feel like my life is in danger now.
Oh, you're talking about Daybreaker Flint? No, it's okay. He only likes to watch. That's all right. I'm sure
that's good. That's good. That's good. We love you, Flint. If you're listening afterwards. So yeah, next week a movie. We're not quite sure which movie yet, but I think it might be a space movie. I feel like a space.
I think we need it. We need space. Yes.
We need
cool.
space.
All right. Well, let's get the fuck out of here.
Let's get the fuck out of
the
here.
Audience. Yeah, and thank the audience.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
go.
you, Michael Raptor. Thank you, Cheesy. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, whoever else is listening. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Mikael, is the plan set in motion?
Yes, Master. The plan has been set in motion. Reconstruction of the ship has started.
Good. Soon we will have a mighty vessel, armed to the teeth with the most modern weapons.
Yes, Master. Your crash landing aim is amazing.
I know. Just like we planned.